Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the We Get to Do This podcast. This week, we had the honor of interviewing Kate Leis, who is an ultra runner extraordinaire and owner of Sunrise Fitness.
Kate's a badass. We talked about a lot of fun things in this episode, and as two entrepreneurs and endurance athletes ourselves, it was very fun to hear from a good friend and mentor of ours. So we hope you enjoy the episode, and as always, if you do, please make sure to hit that review and like it on socials and share it.
Appreciate you all listening. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the We Get to Do This podcast. We have another super fun guest this week, the talented Kate Leis. And for those who don't know, Kate, I think we've known each other now for like 3 years, but you've been a big inspiration on the business side and running front. If you're not following Kate on Strava right now, you need to go follow Kate on Strava because it's freaking insane the amount of miles that you're putting in and what you've grown. And I'm excited to kind of dive into that and have the listeners hear your story. But like we told you, we always start when we have guests on by asking, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? So I'll give you the floor.
Okay. Well, hello. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with people. So my name is Kate Leis, and I am a personal trainer in Delano, Minnesota, and I have a small, I call it a boutique fitness studio. So I have a small business named Sunrise Fitness, and where I work with individuals of all ages and demographics to get strong. So our tagline is stronger every day. And my goal for individuals is to use time in the studio for folks to kind of gain strength physically, but use that strength for goodness out into the world. So I always say what we do in the studio is just a tool for all the other things that we do. So we might be, squatting or doing step ups or doing something like that. And that's just a tool for being able to, carry your grandkids or work in your garden or go climb a mountain or whatever lights your soul on fire. And I really love helping people find what strong means to them. And that. And I run a lot in the woods.
Literally all day, every day.
Right. Most days. I do take Mondays as my rest day. So one day a week, no running. That is like a non-negotiable for me.
And why do you do what you do?
I love helping people and I love teaching people. So a big part of my work in the studio is really just like helping educate people on like how to move our bodies properly. And I love just helping people, and I love helping people just start to feel good about themselves and find their strong. But it's really truly about serving my community and helping people and motivate and inspire people along the way, because there's a lot of like hardness and like not great things in the world. And so if we can feel good about ourselves and I can inspire people to do something a little bit hard, that really lights my soul on fire.
I love it. That's perfect.
How did you get into that, Kate? Like when did this all start?
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have? Yeah.
An hour.
So we might need that hour. So it's a long and varied history. So I opened my doors of Sunrise Fitness June of 2021, and I was doing some personal training prior to that. And in fact, I got my personal training certification in February of 2015. So I got my personal training certification, kind of did like a career change. And I can sort of backtrack and talk a little bit about where I started before I became involved in personal training. But I was just training some clients out of our community center here in Delano, the Tiger Activity Center. I had a handful of clients. I was also working part-time at an Anytime Fitness in Plymouth and Maple Grove. I was waiting tables on the side. I was doing all kinds of different things, but personal training was really kind of where I was focused. And I heard sort of through the grapevine in Delano, small town, that there was this small studio that another woman in town had been doing some small classes in and some personal training in, and that she was needing someone to take over her lease. And a friend of mine, we were actually out on a run together, and she was like, "Did you hear the Railroad Avenue space is going to be up and available?" And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm happily doing my thing. I got my clients. I got my thing going on." But that was enough to just sort of plant the seed of like, well, what if? What if I had my own space? What if I did my own thing? And within a week from that day, I signed the lease on that space. So I basically took the personal training clients that I had at the community center and added up, okay, like, can I cover my rent with those clients? If those clients just simply move from the community center to this new location, can I cover my rent? And I could. And the woman had all of the kettlebells, she had TRX straps, she had dumbbells, she had all of this equipment, and she sold it to me at like a ridiculously low price. And so I took some money out of savings and I bought all the equipment. I signed the lease, and all my clients, we just moved over literally from the school to our own little it was very cute studio space. And that's how I started. And I sort of went one morning on a run. I was like, what am I going to call my business? Well, I run at 6:00 in the morning. What am I going to call my business? Sunrise Fitness. Like, it was literally like super simple. And just sort of took this leap of faith, opened my doors for Sunrise Fitness, June of 2021, and just started with personal training clients. Decided to add a few classes on the days that I wasn't going and teaching classes at Anytime Fitness. Those classes started to just grow, and I pretty much had like a consistent group of people. And then about a year and a half after opening my doors, I decided that if I was going to continue to grow my business anymore, I needed to take a chance on myself. I needed to stop going and working out at Anytime Fitness. I needed to take that time and dedicate it to my own business. And that was really a very challenging step because I then had to take a chance on myself. Because so Anytime Fitness was great. I was well out of the like that do not compete, because I think they had like a 15-mile radius of like a non-compete for that gym. And I was well outside of that. In fact, not a single client that I trained at Anytime Fitness came with me, because it's 30 minutes from the cities to Delano. So it wasn't like I was like bringing any clients. So, and they were very supportive of what I was doing. So, and I was very upfront with them, and they knew I had my business. And so anyway, I finally just took a chance on myself and started running my own business full time. And it's been great. It's been really great. We've since moved locations. We've moved to a larger space. I've brought on 2 other trainers, and then I also have 2 other yoga instructors that teach out of my space as well. And I've got somebody in there Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. almost every single day. And then we've got a morning block of classes on the weekends. So it's been super fun to just watch it grow, and watch it grow very organically. I mean, I don't do a ton of marketing. I've done some paid advertising. I've done a little bit, but truly it's like word of mouth in a small town, and just offering something that's unique enough from like there's like 5 or 6 other gyms in Delano. So like people have lots of choices. So I'm really grateful and honored for the people that choose to come and train with us, because that makes a huge impact on just being able to do my business successfully.
It's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it's been super fun. So, yeah, it's just kind of just believing in your ability to just like make the right choices, because sometimes that can be hard. You guys know that as entrepreneurs, like, you got to take a chance on yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I have so many questions, but what
Yeah.
has your like support system? Like, do you have mentors? Like, who in your life? Like, is anybody like in your life entrepreneurs? Like, what does that all look like?
Um, I mean, yes. So like, I guess my dad, for example, he went out on his own. Like when I was growing up, he had a family business, and he kind of left the family business to do his own thing. Um, and then also like my brother has like a corporate job, but then also has like his own side gig and his own business too. Um, and I knew very early on in my career that I was not cut out for the 9 to 5 sitting in an office somewhere. I needed to be able to be out and kind of do my own thing. Like I worked in an office setting in college for a short time, and that really like drove the point home that that was not I could not stay there. Like that was just not going to be where I was going to be happy. And so I've been able to sort of like strike out on my own and do my own thing from the very beginning. Just in different ways and different settings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel as though, like, whenever we talk to other entrepreneurs, they have like that entrepreneurial sense, I guess, from like a young age, right? Like there's
Yeah.
patterns that a lot of people have, or even if it's something
Mm-hmm.
like for myself, if I remember, we started a dandelion picking business when I was in second grade. And then
Oh,
like I was
funny.
like selling candy bars, like crunch bars in like sixth grade. And then like I sold
Sure.
origami, just like weird shit like that, where looking back now, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I was definitely doing things like that, for a long period of time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's in the moment you don't really realize it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever really been like I would not consider myself a salesperson. But I really do enjoy teaching. So I love to teach. And I actually remember being a kid and like being like kind of like I want to be a teacher, but like being in a classroom and like teaching kids is definitely not my jam. In fact, like I don't have children and I don't train kids. Like anyone that comes and like, oh, will you train my 10-year-old? Nope. Like that's Tatum's job. Or like I like refer them out. Like I just like I don't that's just not my wheelhouse. But teaching has always been a big part of who I am. And so like I started as a kid, I used to ride horses for like growing up. So I rode horses and showed horses and 4-H. And then like right away, like as I got older, I started teaching riding lessons. So I taught other people like how to ride horses, kind of coached other kids, that might have been just a couple years younger and 4-H and things like that. And then when I went to college, I actually went and taught riding lessons at a farm as like my side job, as one of my side jobs, like when I was in college. So I continued to ride horses and teach. And so I was teaching horseback riding essentially um, from then until essentially like 2015. And so that teaching component, whether it's teaching a fitness class or teaching a movement pattern or teaching riding lessons, like that's always been a very um, like constant in kind of like things that I've done.
Gotcha. So it's almost like if you took away the ability to use fitness in a sentence and we asked you what you did, would you describe it as at kind of the heart and soul, Kate's a teacher?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Hmm. Yeah, because it could be anything. And like I said, that was, you know, teaching riding horses is kind of like where that started. And then it just evolved from horseback riding to fitness because believe it or not, my body did not love riding like 40 horses a week and being being in that environment, but it does much prefer running a lot and lifting weights. So we did that instead.
Yeah. If you went back to the moment when you were on that run and you talked to that, like when you were about to start, make the bet on yourself and whatnot, and you
Hmm.
talked to that person, what would you tell them is about to be the hardest thing they're going to go through in starting this new business adventure?
That's a really good question. The hardest thing. Um, I think the hardest thing is really like not taking things personally. when someone, like, maybe they came to some classes and maybe they did some personal training and then they like just disappear. Um, and not taking sort of that as a personal attack on maybe the service that you gave or the quality of the class that you put out, or like just being like, well, maybe that just wasn't the right connection. And that's okay because we're not going to align with everybody. Like, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, that's just pure, plain and simple. Like, we're going to connect with the people that we're meant to connect with. And I think that's probably been like the hardest part, is just like, just that little bit of people that just kind of filter through, right? And then like you just never see them again. And you're just like, well, what was it? Was it something I said? Or like, but a lot of times it's just doesn't have anything to do with me, right? It's like their life got busy, their schedule changed, they moved out of town, like, but they're not going to be like, oh, by the way, Kate, I'm not coming back. Like it just, I think that's probably like the trickiest part, is just not taking, when like someone decides to take their business elsewhere or just doesn't come back, like not taking that personally.
It's so hard. I feel like we talk about
Yeah.
that all the time, basically. You feel
Yeah.
like it's gotten any easier as time has gone on?
Oh, for
Yes.
sure. For
Yeah,
sure. Like
asking for a friend.
the
Not me.
yeah. That ishy feeling doesn't last as long, right? Like it's like you kind of go, okay, well, it's fine. You're going to connect, especially when something like personal training. And I always tell new clients this too. I'm like, personal training is personal. Like if we don't connect, if we don't click, this isn't going to work. And not that we have to be BFF, best friends or BFFs or anything like that. There is a client instructor, line, but like there has to be a buy-in, right? And if you're like, I'm not really jiving with her, she tells bad jokes, like I don't like her tone, like whatever. I mean, I do tell jokes and some of them are bad, but like it's personal. And if it's not a good connection with me, the nice thing is like I do now have other coaches, so I can be like, hey, maybe you should go train with another coach and maybe that's a better fit. Because it is personal and on some levels, but again, at the same time, like you can't take it personally. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
Where do you see Sunrise like going in the future? I know you have multiple coaches now. Like, do you see expanding more coaches? Do you see a different, bigger location? Are you happy with where things are right now?
Oh my gosh. You must have overheard the conversation I just had with my husband a half an hour ago. Because that is like the eternal question, right? Is like what does growth look like? What is the vision? Like how do you grow? How do you expand your business? But how do you stay like true to like your values? And one of the things that I put a lot of value on with my business and with the personal training and the classes is that it is a very personalized approach, and it is kind of a smaller class size, and that we know everybody that walks through our door on some level. Like we get a sense of like who you are. Like I can look at you and be like, I feel like you probably need a little heavier weight today. Like, or like, hey, you're losing your form. Like, let's pull back a little bit. Like I love being able to like just have that personalized approach. Um, and so we're at a point now. We moved into the current space that we're in March a year ago. So March of 2024. So we went from a space about 900 square feet to now we're like 1,500 square feet. And between myself and my other coaches, we're filling those hours. And we're at a point where it's like, we don't want to, because when we're doing personal training in the studio, you're renting that studio. You're the only one, you and the coach are the only ones in the studio. So it's very private. And we don't want to lose that sense of privacy for our clients, because we feel like that's really one of the things that sets us apart from like training at the school, training at, another gym in town where there's people just coming in and out perpetually. And I do know, like from speaking with a lot of my clients, they really do appreciate and have bought into that. Like, I'm the only one here. We're going to listen to whatever music I want to listen to. And we're going to not have to worry about somebody else dropping weights in the corner. So the space that we have, I'm currently only renting half of the space, and the other half of the space is more of like a garage, with a big overhead door, and like my space is separated from the garage by like a brick wall, like a solid wall. And I've had some issues with the tenant that's in that garage space. Just with like, it's more of a mechanical space. We're not a mechanical side. Like, so there's been like some noise issues. Like, we're trying to teach yoga and the guy's like grinding metal, or something like that. So it's been this sort of like weird flux of like, I really wish this guy wasn't there. He moved in after I signed my lease. So it's gotten a little complicated. And so I've been talking to the landlord, my property owner, about, could I take over that other side of the building? Like, could I just rent or lease like the whole building? And so those wheels are in motion. So that's super exciting. But it's a matter of like, okay, if those wheels are in motion, like what does that look like? How do we maintain the integrity of the business that we've created with a larger space? And what I see that at least kind of like top-down approach is that we're able to continue to keep it private, but have two things happening at one time. So like I could have a class happening on the garage side, using, kettlebells and weights and different things like that. And then on the studio side could be still be personal training or a yoga class. Like they could be things going on at the same time, but still maintaining that sort of sense of like privacy and personal space. So we'll see where that leads. It's kind of exciting to think about, but it's also, again, it's like, okay, I've got to have a very clear vision on what this looks like and just continuing to stay like true to who we are and like what sets us apart. So that's where we're headed.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
And
we'll
super
see. We'll see how
exciting.
it goes. The wheels are in motion.
Do you have like a mission or like a vision statement for Sunrise? Like when you think of like, going back to like your like the personalized approach, like do you have like I mean, like any kind of like written like statement or something where you're always like, okay, is this staying true to this? Like
Yeah.
about some.
I don't have anything formal. Um I have, just some like almost more mental bullet points of like, that staying very personalized, greeting people by their first name when they come in, knowing everybody that's in my classes on some level, like being able to say like, hey, Joe, when she walks in, or hey, whoever, like, good morning, like saying everyone, recognizing them, knowing and always like saying goodbye to them when they leave. And so like just certain things like in the customer service world that I really do try to like be very conscientious of. And like with the vision statement, it's really more about just like, what does like being stronger every day mean? And knowing that like that's our goal, is like we want people to be strong, and we want to keep it personal. And then from there it can grow. But that's also part of like kind of the growth of the business too, is like I probably need to like sit down and like sketch out like a very diligent mission statement. Just that's very clear, but those are like the nuts and bolts and details that just get lost in the shuffle.
And if you after signing a lease after a week when it's not really something you were planning on, and then things just start to happen. So
Yeah, I'm like totally just like rolling in the moment. Like, oh, we need release forms. Okay, well, let's figure that out. Like, oh, we need like whatever. Like, let's figure that out. So it's
that's how we are too, you
True.
know.
Yeah. Great entrepreneurship
Yeah.
right there.
You figure it out literally day by day, hour by
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah,
So
I've gotten a little bit better about forward thinking and starting to like look like even like a different season. Like, okay, fall's coming. Like, programming do we want to have? Are there events that we want to have in the fall and winter versus like events that might not be appropriate in the summer? And so like even thinking like one season ahead, in that way. But yeah, it's sometimes it's just like flying by the seat of your pants.
well, it's hard when like you're in the middle of your training too, and I'd love to hear it because I know you're training for a couple big events right now, and like I feel like training helps us to stay balanced and to like stay focused. But at the same time, it's also very time consuming when you're also running a
Yes.
business, you're a partner, you have family, I mean, employees, like a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The training, like I'm actually looking forward to Like I'm looking forward to tapering, just to get a little bit more time back to do some other things. And looking forward to a little like post-race recovery in the month of September for just again, like we've got a fall event coming up on September 13th. We've got, just, the possibility of like growth and getting all my ducks in a row. So having a little bit more time in the like off season, even though my off season this year is going to be a little short, um, is going to be a nice change.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're doing so fall Superior 100,
Yep.
and that's September 6th.
It's early. I feel like it might even be like the 5th or the 4th. I mean, it feels
We
really
start
early this
Friday.
year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think 5th then.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you're doing Cocodona,
Cocodona
right?
250. Yep. And that's in
Ooh,
May. I
awesome.
know. I
I don't know
know.
anyone
It's so
personally
funny.
for Cocodona, so this is exciting.
You and
Oh,
Simon McRae.
wait, say that again?
Yes. It said you're
You
the
know one
first person I
person?
know, like, actually personally to do
Oh, okay.
Cocodona. Like, you hear about it on the
Okay.
podcast. Yeah, I hear Sally McRae, I say
Yeah.
she's my spirit animal. Like, I hear her talk about it all the
Sure.
time, but it's fun to, like, have you, like, a Minnesotan doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And I know a few people that have done it too, so I'm excited to kind of be able to like hopefully plug into some of the folks that I know that have done it that are from like Minnesota or even from the East Coast that have done it. So just to be able to like be like, "Hey, how did you train?" But at the same time, like I have a coach, so I literally just I farm that out and I just follow the plan. So shout out
Yeah, and
to
how long
Jeff
have you had a
Miller
coach
for
for?
how long have I what?
Had a coach for?
I've had a coach since, honestly, since I started, not since I first started personal training, but probably like since 2016 or 2017. Um, when I started working more in fitness full time, I I didn't have quite as much free time for training. When I just needed to be a little bit more diligent on my training is when I got a coach because before I would just run, be like, oh, I've got 2 hours today. Guess I'll run for 2 hours. And it was just like sheer volume, which got me through. And then it was probably, yeah, I think 2017-ish that I hired my first coach. And then I got in with Jeff Miller and he's now my coach and he's been coaching me for 2 years now. And that's been going really, really well. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you value in having a coach? More like specifically.
Yeah, I value in having a coach because I get coached both with the run coaching and I also have a strength coach. So I've been working with a couple of strength trainers as well. Um, because I'm as human as anybody else in the fact that like I'm gonna do what I enjoy and I'm gonna do what I'm good at, but that's not necessarily gonna get me to where I need to go. Right. Like we
Mm-hmm.
all need to work on our strength or on our weaknesses. And you need somebody that's going to like push you to do an extra rep or push you to, just level up a little bit. Like we can push ourselves, but it's been studied over and over that like we do better, we train more effectively under supervision. And so for me, having a coach like just makes that time that I'm dedicating to my training that much more effective. And then also I don't have to think about it. Like I can pull up Training Peaks and be like, oh, okay, I have a 45-minute run today. Like, and just execute it. I don't have to think like, okay, well, should I push that out to an hour? Or like, should I add some strides in there? Or like, what do I need to do? Like, it's all just straightforward. And I always tell Jeff, I'm like, I never look at my data. Like, that's what I pay you to do. Like, I want you to look at the data and tell me like, am I hitting, like, am I in threshold or am I doing the work that needs to be done? And he's so good about the data. And I just don't have a mind for it. Like I'm like, here's my information, here's my heart rate, here's whatever. And then he'll like either push me or pull me back kind of like as needed. But yeah, I don't ever look at my data.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. So it's kind of going
Yeah.
backwards, but do you see like Have you ever thought about run coaching for Sunrise Fitness, like yourself or
So
any
I
other?
Yeah, so I do some run coaching. So I have a couple of run coaching clients. Um and I have like the Road Runners Club of America level 1. I've got USCA ultra running certification. Um I've got a few other that I've done just like through continuing ed for those certifications. And I've done a little bit of run coaching, but really I really love personal training. That's my jam. So like I said, I've got a couple of run coaching clients. I have two women right now that are training for Twin Cities Marathon. And so I write there and they get both a strength plan and a running plan. And so I couple like both the strength training and the running together. And I coach both of them remotely. And so what's really cool now is Training Peaks has like really done such a nice job with their strength programming now, which is great. So I just throw all of that up for them in Training Peaks, but I'm not looking to add any more run coaching clients. Um, because I feel like I do better face to face in the
Yeah,
studio environment.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks for the detour there. Uh,
Yeah, of course.
I'd, we would love to hear we kind of jumped around a little bit, but we would love to hear your origin
Mhm.
story with running specifically. And like, I know you've done
Oh my
tri
gosh.
and like you've like everything, marathons, ultras, like how did it start? And
Yep.
yeah, can you just do that?
Yeah. So I ran my first marathon in December of 2003. Um, And so that was the Honolulu Marathon. So I was graduated from college, and so prior to that, so I'll kind of backtrack. So we're like early 2000s here. Um and so I graduated from college in 2000, 2001. Doesn't matter. Those are minor details. But when I was in college, I simply ran for fitness. Like I ran to kind of help just manage my weight. I would run like the occasional like 5K on Thanksgiving, very casually. It was nothing serious. But I had this sort of like yearning. I'd seen advertisements for marathons and I sort of had this yearning to like maybe run a marathon. But graduating from college, just kind of not knowing where I was going to land, things like that, I sort of like just put it on the back burner. And back in the days of like snail mail, I got a piece of mail from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society with this organization called Team in Training, and they were looking for folks that wanted to run a marathon. And they had a informational meeting not too far from where I was living, and I was living in Detroit at the time. So I checked it out. It was midsummer 2003. I drove to this meeting location, not knowing anyone. I didn't take a friend. I just was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go check it out. So walked in, they did their little pitch on what Team in Training was, and it's a fundraising organization for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I believe it still exists to this day. I believe they still have groups that are still running marathons and triathlons, but um, and they were like, you can pick from any of these marathons. It was like the Disney Marathon, Honolulu, like variety of races. And you just have to raise, for me, I had to raise $4,500. And it was like an $80 buy-in to sort of like start up. So I wrote a check for $80 and I bought in and I signed up to run the Honolulu Marathon in December of 2003. I had never run more than a 5K. I had never done anything more than that. And I knew zero people that were doing this. But they provided everything. They provided the training plan, they provided group runs, they provided some basic coaching, and they provided some fundraising opportunities. So I got the plan, started following the plan, started going to group runs, met some people. They flew myself and my parents to Honolulu and I ran the Honolulu Marathon in, I don't know, like 4 hours and 47 minutes or something like that. Like, and I didn't know if that was a good time, a bad time. Like, I think the Honolulu Marathon doesn't have an actual cutoff, which makes it great for people that are just starting. And it was like 40,000 people. It was wild. So it was just this like huge experience. So I did that and I had picked the Honolulu Marathon simply because I figured I would just run one marathon. So like, why not go to Hawaii to do it? But as fate would have it, April of that following year of 2004, I moved to Minnesota. And when I moved here in April of 2004, I moved here to manage a horse farm. And it was here in Delano, between Delano and Watertown. I knew zero people. I knew no one. And I've sort of getting like plopped down on this farm. And I'm like, well, how am I going to meet people? So I went to the running stores and I went to Gear West. I went to, at the time, it was Start Line running store, and we just started asking questions like, do you have a running group? And happened to go to at Start Line running store. They're like, oh yeah, there's, at the time it was called ALARC, and they've been, I think, rebranded to, it was like, I think at the time it was American Lung Association Running Club, and now it's like Active Life and Running Club. Again, not 100% sure if they still even exist. But they had a group in Hopkins that met twice a week, and I would just show up twice a week. I'd go 6:00 at night, go up, we'd do a workout, we'd do some running, and they were all training for Twin Cities. So I was like, well, Twin Cities sounds nice. Let's do that. So I signed up for Twin Cities. And then it just sort of like one thing led to another. Somebody in that group was doing a triathlon and I was like, well, I could do a triathlon. So I signed up to do a triathlon. They had an organization called TriQuest that was happening. So this was like 2006. No, 2005. So just like a couple of years later. So I joined TriQuest. Long story short, through that group is how I met my husband. We met at Little Long Lake every Tuesday night. We'd be swimming. Every Tuesday night, we'd go to a restaurant and have dinner with the group. And one thing led to another. That whole summer, we started dating in the fall, and we were married. We dated a year, engaged a year, and got married later. So that brought me to meeting my husband. He and I signed up to do Ironman in 2009. We did 2 Ironmans, and then unfortunately, his running career ended. But he decided that we should run a 50K, and that's kind of what put him in the hole where he couldn't keep running. But I started running 50Ks in 2012, and then I've been running ultras essentially exclusively since 2012. So I've done a marathon or more every single year since 2003.
Wow.
Wow.
So
what is it about
I think
ultras specifically? So you said 2013 is when you like switched.
2012 was
much-
my first 50K. Yeah. That was
What
kind of the big switch.
what is it about ultras that just brings you in, like specifically to that realm?
Yeah, I love moving through nature. I love being in the woods. It reminds me of like playing as a kid. So like when I was a kid growing up in southern lower Michigan, we had lots of woods. We had like lots of big oak trees, and like my friends and I would go and like we'd run across the field and like into the woods and like play in the creeks and like just be kids like out in nature. And I think what ultra running does, especially trail ultra running, is it allows you to be a kid. It allows you to like run across the environment and skip across rocks and get your feet wet and, dodge branches and just like move in ways that like we don't move in real life anymore. And it's such a cool thing to just like go a long distance under your own power, like with your own 2 feet, and like cross, the environment. It's so cool. And it just takes us back to like, people that like settled our land and like moved across, like people that like walked to the mountains, right? Like it was just like, it just reminds me of that. It just brings me back into touch with just being in nature and playing and not losing sight of that.
I love that. I haven't thought of it like that before. I mean, obviously like the nature piece, but
Mhm.
just like the playing and like being a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get to like splash through mud puddles. And in fact, it's encouraged, right? Like, don't go around the mud because like you're going to widen the trail and create erosion. Like, go through the middle. Like, just be a kid. Don't worry about it getting your shoes dirty or like, just, I mean, we never worried about that growing up. You just got dirty.
Yeah, for any listeners who don't follow Kate, like you'll post like videos where you're going through like water. I swear it's like waist deep. I think it's more of like ankle but knee deep. And you just seem so happy, just like, oh, here's another mud pile. Like we're just gonna go through it. And
Yep.
it's like day after day you do that, and just like the entire run, it seems like it'll just be mud and water, and you just do it.
Well, that's a
Awesome.
little bit being here. Like Lake Rebecca is like the muddiest park in the metro. Like, let's be clear, but
But
there's
it's
a
like
lot of muddy
you
runs.
you just accept it, and it's
Yeah, you
very
have to. Yeah, you just have to accept it.
with your since we do talk about partnership on this pod also.
Sure.
So your husband has not been running and stuff. Like where does he come in all of this and like supporting you and like you have your business and running? Like what's his role in all
Yeah.
this?
Well, he's definitely my number one supporter, like 100% hands down. Like, would not have been able to quit my job and start my own business like on a whim. I mean, not really on a whim, but like to have that flexibility and that ability to just be like, okay, well, if my business were to like dry up and blow away, like we'd still make the mortgage payment. Like he's got a, corporate job and benefits and things like that. So like I couldn't do it without that support. And I wouldn't want to. So he's been very supportive. Even though he no longer runs, he's cruising me at all of my major events. Make sure that I have time to go run. Like, we have dogs and they're high maintenance. And so it's like, he knows, like, okay, I'm going to go run for 6 hours. Like, we communicate about it, but like, we kind of have to, like, he doesn't get to go ride his motorcycle for 6 hours if I'm going to be gone. Like, we got to figure that out. So, we communicate really well about that. Yeah. And then, yeah, I couldn't do it without him. Like, and I wouldn't want to, but he's been kind of by my side, kind of in the background. Something needs to be fixed at the studio. He brings the toolkit and comes down and doesn't complain and just, you know, he put the floor in at the studio. I mean, just like, yeah, great.
It helps to have a supportive partner.
For sure. For sure.
Do you have a question? I have one.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, like, what do you think are the biggest like pillars to training? Like, what are like the must, like, if you were to have like different columns of like, these are the things that I need to train, like for you, and things that you like talk to your clients about, like, what does that look like to you?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. And I don't think it's anything real glamorous. I need sleep. That's priority number one is like I make sure as frequently as I can that I'm getting an appropriate amount of sleep, that I'm going to bed at the same time, I'm getting up at the same time, and that like I have my little evening routine and we stretch and we do our chores and we go to bed and then like get up in the morning and start it all over again. So sleep is for sure number one. Number two is just like kind of related to sleep, but just that recovery phase of like making sure that I'm not getting myself overcommitted to other things. And making sure that I have enough time to sort of like recharge my battery. So, if I've got a 6 hour long run on Saturday, like that's pretty much like I'm going to do that and maybe go grocery shopping. And there's not a lot else. Um, Like I really try to like be careful with my social engagements, especially in peak training. Like it's different if, we're in the off season or we're just starting to ramp up a training cycle. But, like these last couple weeks, like there's not a lot going on. People are like, what are you doing this weekend? Running. That's really it.
Running and recovering.
Yeah,
What do you do next
eating,
week? Running.
sleeping.
How about
um,
more? Running.
yeah. Did that answer your question? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. That's very like glamorous, but
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you like talk about nutrition and stuff with your clients? Is that something that you focus on? Like, where does that come in?
yeah. So nutrition is super important. I do some nutrition consulting with individuals, or nutrition coaching. I always tell people like out of the gate, I'm not a registered dietitian. I am not board certified. I did not go to school for it. But again, all of my continuing ed credits, these last 10 years of personal training, like I do have a lot of nutrition certifications. And most of it just started with my own personal, like, what do I need to do? How do I need to fuel my body to like keep doing these things to stay healthy and to minimize injury? Like, how do I need to eat? So, I mean, staying within sort of scope of practice, it really comes down to like making sure people and myself like are eating protein, drinking your water, eating your vegetables, getting enough fiber. Like, it's very, very kind of big picture. And then with clients, I do offer like some nutrition coaching where then we'd really dive in. I have them food journal and I have them keep track of like what they're eating. And then we talk about like macros, like protein, carbs, and fat. Where do they need to land? What's going to be optimal for their goals? Things like that. Um, and for myself, I don't have anything that's like off limits. I joke, again, these bad jokes, but I'll tell like I'm on the seafood diet. Like I see food and I eat it. Like it's not nothing's like off the table, but it is being mindful and conscientious of like when I'm eating certain things, the quantity of those things that I'm eating. Um, I've gotten to the point in my life where I drink very little alcohol because it doesn't serve me, especially in training. So that has been one of the biggest levers that I've personally pulled back on. Um, and then, but like I eat pizza probably on a weekly basis. I'll eat burgers and fries periodically, but I also make sure that I'm not doing it in such a way that's setting me up for like a bad long run, right? Like Friday night, I'm gonna be a little careful about what I eat before I go run for 6 hours on Saturday. By Sunday night, I'm gonna make sure that I'm feeling really well so that I can like be recovered and get ready to like dive into the next week. So making sure that I'm eating enough, that's another thing that I really try to encourage people is like, we don't need to be perpetually hungry. And really, depending on your goals, like you may or may not need to flirt with that. Like you might need to actually fuel more to build muscle. Like that's what I think people lose sight of is that you got to eat enough to build muscle. So if you want to get strong, you got to eat some food.
Mhm.
And I've been super fortunate about being able to not, I don't have food allergies. I don't have like GI issues. So like I can have a little bit more liberty with what I consume. But I do have to be still very, very mindful about it.
Mhm. Yeah, eating's important.
Very important.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
I recommend.
Well, this was awesome. I feel like we can just keep talking for
I
like
know.
another.
Is there any like pressing things that you feel like we didn't talk about today that you want to share with the listeners before we get into your we get to do this moment?
Um, Gosh, I don't know. I feel like the time like flew by. I
I
feel
know.
like all I did
Crazy.
was talk, but it does go really fast.
It's
So
great.
hopefully other people feel like it goes by fast.
No, I
Not
think
like,
that was
oh, she's
great.
still talking.
We have you here for a reason, and yeah, you fit all of our boxes of fitness and entrepreneurship and
Oh,
partnership, and
thank you.
I just think you have like a very inspiring story and background too. So I really appreciate you
Thank
sharing
you.
all of that. We're
Yeah,
excited to
it's
have you
been
on
fun.
today.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again too after Superior slash sometime to hear about Cocodona training or after
Right?
Cocodona or something. Because I would love to,
Yeah,
as you go through that, because this is your first longer than 100, right?
correct.
Race?
Yes, I've only run 100 miles as my furthest
Just
distance. Just 100. So yeah,
Many
to go
times.
1.5. Yeah, many times, many times. Yes. So We're going for Superior finish number 9 this year is the goal. So, yeah,
Dang.
it's been a good journey up there on the SHT. So,
Wow. My goal is
yeah,
next year to do it,
awesome.
hopefully.
Yeah. Okay.
And hopefully get Jacob to do it too.
Nice. Yeah,
We'll
that would be
see.
awesome.
Maybe it's on the horizon. It's on the
Hey,
horizon. There's 100 in my
good.
future very soon. I'm just still
Yes,
kind of
that's
hoping I can get into
awesome.
Atlanta. So we'll see.
So, hoping you can get into where?
Well, I want to do Leadville,
Oh, Leadville. Gotcha. Yeah,
but
that'd be awesome.
it's really hard to get into. So we'll see. I don't know. I got to
Yeah,
figure it out. I got to figure it
for
out.
sure. One step at a time. That's how we do it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kate. So every guest, well, and us, we always end the pod with, what is your we get to do this moment? And that can be from today, this week, your entire life. Like, what was a moment where you're like, wow, I get to do this? Or
Yeah, I
multiple.
think my biggest we get to do this moment is when I have an aging adult client that comes in after she's been, I see mostly women, so I'm going to say she. And I think especially women struggle with this a little bit. When they come in and they were able to do something, A, they didn't think they could do, or B, their spouse didn't think they could do it. Like, hey, can you help me move this? Or let me help you move that. And they're able to just do it themselves. And they come in and be like, Kate, I carried the salt bags in, or I, got my garden all planted this week and I'm not exhausted, or, any sort of those like outside of the gym sort of non-scale victories. When someone comes to me with that story, I think one of my biggest ones was a client came to me, she's 70 plus years old, and her bone density scan, done via a DEXA scan, her bone density for the 2 years prior had been osteopenia. And she came to me and her doctor said her bone density was within normal limits. And so
Wow.
she had like built enough bone that she no longer had osteopenia. And so like that stuff is the stuff that like when I'm like, yes, I get to do this. Like I get to help these people like do something that they didn't think they could do, or like to kind of like even just like improve their health and improve their health markers. That's when I'm really grateful for the work that I do.
So cool.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Where can people find you and keep up with you on all things Kate that you
All
want to
things
share?
Kate. Yeah. So I do post to Facebook and Instagram. My personal profile is Kate Leis. Leis is Leis. And I also do Facebook and Instagram for my business, which is Sunrise Fitness LLC. And I believe those handles are all the same for both Facebook and Instagram. And you can find me on Strava. Kate Leis Sunrise Fitness is kind of one big long name on the Strava. And yeah, that's really. Or you can, my website, my sunrisefitnessllc.com is the business website, where you can kind of see what classes we offer at the studio, sign up for um, a free consultation or anything like that if people are interested in coming and seeing us in Delano.
We'll add all that to the show notes too. So if anybody, we'll add direct links so people can find you.
Oh, thank you for that.
That way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, Kate.
Thank you
You're
so much.
Yeah.
amazing. And
Thank
excited to
you.
continue
Yes.
following your training, being inspired by you.
Awesome. Thank you so
Excited to
much, you
see how
guys.
the film goes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Kate.
Wow, Kaylee, we made it through another episode. What do you think?
We would love if you would go give us a follow, a 5-star review, and comment on the episode and what you liked and what you'd like to see more of.
See you next time.
We get to do this.